All right. So, hi Nivedita, good afternoon. I'm Rehat. I'll be taking your webinar this afternoon. And just for our audience here, Nivedita here has, graduated from the 2019 batch of BBA LLB as well. And she returned to do her LLM here as well. And she graduated from LLM in 2022. And Nivedita, anything else you would like to add to your introduction for the audience here, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Rohit, for first of all giving me the opportunity. Glad we connected, and thanks for inviting me to do this. I really wanted to share my learnings and my experiences with my own college juniors because wish when we were in college back in 2014-15 we had more of such alumni connect and such easy skill understanding and experience mentorships. So I thought now that we have this chance, why not I give back something to my juniors? That was totally the intention of doing this. That's pretty much about it.
So, anything professionally you would like to add, Nivedita? Anything to your credentials or your student life here at Jindal? How was that? So, you spent like a significant time here doing your BBA, LLB, as well as your LLM here. So, how was the Jindal experience for you then?
Yes. So back in 2014, when I graduated in 2019, I had brilliant time at JGO campus. Like there are no second thoughts about it. I think the bonds that I share with my college roommates and my college friends, there's nothing like it. I really miss those times even today. Like that was the most beautiful part of my life till date, I feel. And professionally, yes, to briefly, as you already said, I graduated in 2019. I started my career with one of the best law firms of India, was there for about 2 years, and then is when during the COVID time I decided to take up the upgrad LLM from, because it was all work from home and online situation. So I took up the online JGUL upgrad LLM. That was 2021 and 22. And that meanwhile, I figured that what next in the legal tech space. I'll obviously cover more of that once we are understanding and discovering more. But yes, that's where I decided I want to do something in legal tech. And since 2022, I have been in legal tech. And I currently work at Counselect. Here we reimagine legal departments. So, yes, I'm going to explain more about what we do further as well. That's pretty much.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for the introduction, Nivedita. So my first question to you would be what, it's like a very light-hearted question. It's just to, ease into the conversation itself. So what do you think are the most common career paths that we hear about growing up in law specifically? And do you think these kind of laws that we hear about so much are emphasized more upon than the others that might not be that up and coming?
Okay. So I'll answer both of your questions. So to answer the common career paths that we hear in school, that is 10th and 11th grade, is generally like whatever comes to like every person's mind in India is doctor, engineer, CA, lawyer. That's the typical thing. Then once after 12th grade, you give an LSAT or a CLAT exam and you decide to join law school. After about 1.5 2 years, when you enter the third year of law school, is when everybody has this thing in mind, these three typical things. Either they want to become a professor, do an LLM abroad or from a prestigious university and become a professor, and of course join a corporate law firm or go for litigation. That's typically three main careers that come to every second or third year law student. So, yeah.
So, Nivedita, your sort of career is a little, अगर हिंदी में बोलूँ तो it's a little हटके, I would say. So, do you think what does it mean to actually look beyond these traditional careers that you've just talked about then?
Yes, so to look beyond these specific careers, it's about understanding, first of all, what skills you have beyond what everybody around you and in your college and in your circle is doing. It's more about what you actually want from your job, first of all. Then, secondly, what skills do you have? Then, if you understand those deeply, then understand the market, increase your awareness probably, and understand what are the other career paths that you can try. If you have some assumptions, inheritances, some like some setbacks, figure out if something different that you want to choose, how it's going to go. Speak to some people, take some guidance, do some sessions with some seniors, mentors, professors from your college, and then actually figuring out something which you think you like more than the typical law firm in-house and litigation paths is what's generally suggested when you go want to go a little away from the typical thing.
So, Nivedita, so the particular career path that you have chosen, was it because of your, skills in this domain, or did you do that because, of your particular degree, and how did you actually get into it?
Okay, so both actually. I did go the typical way. Once I graduated from college, I did join a law firm. I was there for about 2 years, which is not really a short time to understand if you actually like the work that you're currently doing. That was not the work which I was liking it, but I will say I was not loving it. Will be a better term. And I wanted to explore and figure out something which I'll enjoy more, and considering it was just 2 years in the industry, I had a lot of time to explore. There was no rush. That is why I decided that why not choose something which I'll enjoy more. When it comes to enjoy, then I figured out what my skill set is. Since school, I think sixth or seventh grade is when I really liked doing debates, declamations in school. Then in college, in general, also I had BBA LLB elective, so we had in some elective options for negotiations as well. I remember there was a foreign faculty who came for about a semester and they taught us brilliant negotiation skills. That was, I think, in my third or fourth year, if I'm not wrong. So that's when I realized I want to do something which involves more of communication, negotiation, presentation rather than a corporate desk job. That's when I decided to join a legal tech startup, and I joined the sales team of that. That was back in 2022. So that was totally to explore how it's going to be. And I ended up loving the work that I was doing. So one thing led to another. Then from a legal tech startup, I wanted to try something which is much more into legal tech space. That's where I decided I'll join Counseling.
So, Nivedita, just along those lines only, it's a very basic question, and I think the students also who are getting introduced to this kind of law would like to know about what actually legal tech is all about and what all career paths they can actually go into if they get into this kind of law. So, would you like to elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes, yes. So legal tech is very simple. Say, for example, 10 years back, 10 years down the line when I was in college, I think it was 2000, it was my third year, if I remember. Demonetization happened in college, I remember. It was somewhere October, November, or something like cold season, and we we used to wait like 1.5 hour outside ATMs, the ATM which is right outside the mess, for getting cash. It was that difficult. Me being from Delhi, I got some cash from home, but it was a shocker for everybody on campus. We had like, how do we manage? I never used to use Paytm at that time. And there was a little hesitation in my first and second year. I think we all generally used to get either cash withdrawn from ATM or use cards for our online transactions. But then when demonetization happened, gradually within 2 3 4 years, all of us shifted to online transaction modes. This was in college as well and in our personal life as well. Right now, if I see my situation, I hardly carry cash. It's always that we are having UPI in our phone and we're just sorted. So similarly, in the legal industry, we've always been very physical jobs. First of all, no work from home, no remote, no hybrid situation, everything on paper. Hardly people used to use computers as well 15 20 years back down the line. Then obviously in the corporate culture, a lot of laptops and a lot of online stuff started, but it's still a lot of online and technology driven transaction things needed to be done. If I see with 2010 11 12 situation, if I remember, it was like a lot paper driven. So similarly, legal tech is about a lot of tools coming in the market, in the legal industry to help lawyers, first of all, not to struggle with repetitive, mundane tasks which can be done by tools. It's to ease their job so that at least some of their work which can be automated can be done through those tools. Say, example, AI driven proofreading, contract review, due diligence, then online dispute resolution platforms, and all of this combined using technology to help a legal work gets sorted done faster, more effectively, and efficiently is legal technology. As simple as that.
So,
And
yeah, please go ahead.
yeah. So AI driven contract review tools, case management systems, ODR platforms, and all is all legal technology. And when it comes to careers in legal tech path, see, there are n number of options which I didn't know even existed at my even when I graduated back in 2019. But now I realize there are so many career options in legal tech. If somebody genuinely wants to try and explore, you can all the big law firms, Cam, Ketan, all the names, Trilegal, they all have innovation teams now. So a lot of legal tech specialists, and you can understand and explore how innovation and how tools are adopted and implemented in these big firms in India. So legal tech specialists, legal tech strategists, consultants is something which a lot of law firms and even in-house teams need these days. Then legal operation managers is also a very upcoming role in all the global in-house teams in India. Then if somebody is interested in technology, and law both, they can become a startup founder and find something innovative like their own legal tech product. Why not? Or probably somebody who is not that confident about building their own product or doesn't have an idea yet, they can work as a product manager at any of the legal tech startups. Like I remember JGU, I came to college about 3 years back when there was this JGU incubation center launch, and I met few students at that time, and they were brilliantly thinking about so many ideas about what all they can launch. So why not try exploring and interning in legal tech startups to actually understand what product manager role is? That's These are very common roles. Otherwise, obviously, you can join the sales team of any legal tech startup to understand how sales actually functions. You don't have to restrict yourself to doing a hardcore legal role only. Say, for example, you like more of sales role, you ended up doing law. Why not try it out at legal tech sales startup? N number of options depending on the skills that you have.
So, Nivedita, you talked about AI also. So, I just want to get your personal opinion out there. What is your, understanding of how the AI and the, technology has impacted the legal industry? Mostly focusing on AI in this question. So, what is your opinion on AI though?
So AI will definitely help lawyers get their work done more effectively and efficiently. I really don't see any setbacks coming. It's obviously going to ease our job, improve our work quality, improve our efficiency. That's what I'll say. It's always going to be a plus. I really never have seen any setbacks in terms of the typical notions running that lawyers will lose their jobs and AI is going to take their all jobs and all. No, nothing at all. Law Manual people involvement is always going to be there, and it's always going to be prioritized a step above technology. It's always going to be brilliant if lawyers use technology, but in real life situation, I've never seen that any role where completely AI can take over and manual legal intervention is not allowed. I is not accepted. I really don't see that. Because see, I'll tell you, like, legal teams and function is evolving very fast in India, of course. And companies today expect their legal teams not just to be legal advisors, they want them to have great speed, efficiency, and strategic decision making as well. This means that lawyers should adopt technology skills, process designing, and cross functioning collaboratively work as well with, say, procurement team, finance team, sales team, and also a lot of, if technology is there, a lot of typical work can be automated. However, lawyers' job is going to increase to a lot more business enablers, strategic decision making, getting involved with the management, with the sales, finance, procurement, to actually help in the business function more, to think more strategically about how business can grow, rather than spending time or ideally wasting time on something which a tool can do in 10 minutes in the same manual proofreading of a 100-page document. Let a tool do that, and you think out of the box ideas of how you can get more business for the company. That is how AI and technology is going to help legal teams.
So, Nivedita, just focusing on your personal experience only now, were there any challenges or any adversities that you overcame while, exploring this particular niche, this non-traditional route of legal, aspects in general?
Of course, there have been a lot of challenges. I remember a few of my friends used to tell me that 2.5 years in actually started working, you've just started working, and you've decided to go for a non-traditional role. You're trying legal tech, and had not even really heard about it at that time. And I used to get a lot of this with that, you've left it, are you sure about, is this stable, and all of that. That's always there. Skepticism from others will forever be there. Then of course there was no clear roadmap for me. I took a leap of faith. I loved that role, but definitely there was no clear roadmap. Now, opportunities are much better. Guidance is also a lot much better. But I feel 4 years down the line, I didn't have that level of mentors and those groups and those experienced professionals whom I could go and ask them, understand career prospects in detail. Skill gaps, of course, coming from law school, doing typical law degree, understanding bare acts, notes, case laws, and all, and then moving towards sales and growth path. It involved a lot of unlearning and then learning new skills which were required for sales and growth teams. Absolutely no role models. I used to keep looking around LinkedIn, Jindal seniors and mentors who are in this space, to understand if I can learn from somebody, what certificate course if I should do, should I do an LLM in this, any other, how do I join any communities of this sort. But at that time I really didn't get that great guidance. Now I feel situation has changed a lot. We have a lot more groups and a lot more mentorship advice, and now a lot more people doing these type of roles, so it's easier for others to reach out to us. But at that time I remember I used to keep scrolling in LinkedIn to find somebody from Jindal who's followed the similar path. Hardly could find anyone. Yeah.
So, Nivedita, just along those lines only, how do you think academic institutions and, education in particular, like, universities or, colleges or other educational institutions can actually help students get to know a little bit more about how these non-traditional routes actually work and, promoting the same so that, the adversities that you have faced, they are not something that other people are, new to and they're ready for them.
Of course, of course. So it's very simple. Jindal always has brilliant electives. So there's no second thought about getting few good electives in the legal tech space. That's the easiest way to actually give basics of legal tech to all the students, so that third, fourth, fifth years law students, they take up legal tech electives at least one semester, and they understand the basics, irrespective of they want to join, they want to go ahead in legal tech space or they want to go in corporate or litigation. That really doesn't matter. A basic elective knowledge should be mandatory, considering this is what they'll need all throughout, no matter whichever field they choose. Then of course Jindal had that incubation center launched 3 years back. So that means more product innovation, thought processes and skills are obviously must be happening in that center. Plus, I'll also encourage, if you're not very sure about corporate and litigation and want to try something, why not give one or two shots to internships in the innovation teams of probably big law firms, or with legal tech startups, or with Counselect, anything, whatever works out, to actually understand what this side is. Once we are in third year, or like probably second year, once we go for a litigation internship or a corporate law firm internship, that's also absolutely new for us, right? We hardly know how law firms function or how litigation actually functions. So similarly, give a try to this as well. And probably there are now, considering there are so many legal tech events that keep happening in Delhi day in and day out, why not attend, meet people, understand what they do, and if you like it, probably do an internship or do some certificate course, listen to some YouTube webinars. There are ample opportunities now available. Then figure out if you like something, take up a similar job. Yeah,
So,
that's
so yeah, thank you so much, Nivedita. So my question for the students, like, I want to focus more on the students here. So, as you already know, internships are a big part of, our degree here in Jindal itself. Every course that we have here in Jindal needs like a specific internship that you need to do, like those semester breaks, of course. So, are there any particular, internships or anything, any company that might be taking interested in taking in interns for, interns for the students that are interested in this kind of traditional, non-traditional route?
okay. Okay, so I really can't comment about any specific company as of now, but Counselect for sure. Like I'll be happy to have my college graduates and people from my college, and I'd love to introduce them to my team. And it counts like we promote a lot of learning, so I'd love to have students from Jindal who are interested in legal tech and probably understand what Counselect does, because it's a very different managed services solution provider company. So why not and explore that. Rest, of course, we have a lot of law graduates at one big law firms and corporates as well. So probably the internship cell can actually speak to such people and understand if there are appropriate roles for Jindal students, and then probably figure out internships. Why not? And that's not really difficult task. I'm sure the people who are working in legal innovation teams in these law firms will definitely be happy to help.
So, Nivedita, my next question, like we're almost done. So, almost by the end of it. So my next question to you would be, is there any particular advice that you would like to give to the students itself? Anything personal, that you might have known, that you wish you had known during your time here in Jindal, or professional advice to any of the students looking into, legal tech?
Got it, got it. So, looking into legal tech, I think I wish I would have known there's a lot of value of, building a portfolio of your own on, say, LinkedIn or other similar type of platforms, and knowing the seniors and mentors in the industry, which we really didn't do a lot in our college times. So this is not specifically for legal tech, but my advice to everybody is to network first of all a lot. Our college promotes a lot of going to conferences, networking, and seminars. I remember we used to have buses coming from college to Kutub area almost every second Saturday, and that's something which we really undervalue at that time. We all should prioritize networking, because once you speak to more and more people in the industry, that is where your interest starts getting built up. This is absolutely not for a specific field, say legal tech or innovation, but I feel you should meet all kinds of people to understand what they do. That is where you understand, probably, do you like what they do you want to even try what they do. Without talking to the people who are actually in the industry, you start from scratch once you graduate. However, if you already say build your platform, you build a good profile on LinkedIn, start networking, putting your posts, putting your thought processes, and understand and meet people, you at least, I'll say, a level ahead than starting from scratch. You'll at least be well prepared of how to speak to people in the industry, how to understand, how to communicate, and easily get connections. That's something I'll really advise everybody. Then, of course, try understanding and listening to a lot of webinars, or probably if you're interested, do one or two certificate courses as well in college, because that's an added knowledge. So, why not? Similarly, I'm not sure if at that time when I was in college there were things like this, but if you know Vahura, Vahura is one of the uh, main legal pioneers in legal recruitment. I say so. Vahura has Navigator. Navigator is where they help students and understand what career paths you should actually go ahead with. So if you're confused, if you just want to take suggestion, reach out to such platforms, because this is where actual people are working. They're connected with so many professionals from different industries, different types of work they're doing. So they actually guide you that this is your skill set, this is what probably will help, you'll enjoy more than going the typical path of say joining a law firm 5 years down the line, then figuring out you don't like it, then shifting to in-house teams, and then also getting confused. So yeah, join and speak to people. Look at the things like Navigator. They brilliantly help legal professionals to understand what career paths may suit them well. That's definitely there. And otherwise, be patient. Take calculative risks. I feel everybody's gonna figure out. We all make mistakes, but then we fall in place. That's how it is.
And thank you, Nivedita. I believe any person, any student, or any person that wants to join Jindal would be helped by this webinar itself, and whatever uh, you know insights you've given into your own career and this particular law itself. So just to end the webinar, it's a very lighthearted question. What is something that you remember from your time here at Jindal, and is there something that you wish you would have done differently?
I think I would have enjoyed my college life more, is something which I would have done differently. And yeah, I remember every day after dinner we used to go to this Amul. Is it still there? The convenience store in Amul.
So
And
the Amul, I think, has been shifted somewhere else. So we only have Tapri now, and then we have Egg Bite in that architecture block. So yeah,
oh,
that's about it. Amul is not there anymore,
oh,
unfortunately.
students. So I remember I used to be in SH4. That was the biggest hostel with 4 rooms, and like everybody had a big fight. I remember every batch used to fight for that hostel. We luckily had that hostel for entire 5 years. And yes, the favorite part was every day after dinner we used to go for that T3 main mess that was there, and then upper mess and all of that. So yeah, so I remember every day after dinner we used to go to Amul and convenience store, and we used to have long walks at our campus, like till late in the night, chilling, celebrating birthdays at Amul and all. And that was so great. I remember, and I wish I could go back even today and enjoy that same time with my college friends. So, my only advice is, of course, focus on your career, network more, work smartly, speak to people, understand your skills, take up electives, but don't forget to enjoy your college life. That's precious. Yeah.
Nivedita, this has been absolutely lovely and wonderful. Hopefully, we'll get to do this once more. If you're up for it, we can do a phase two of the same series itself. So, yeah, that's about it. And thank you so much for connecting with us. Thank you so much for giving your time to this particular venture. So, yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was great meeting you and talking. And I love to do the phase two. And like I'd even love to come to campus and meet students in person and educate and share my learnings and experience in more detail. Why not?
Definitely, Nivedita. Please do let me know if you're here on campus anytime soon, and I'll meet you then. And yeah, thank you so much once again.
Great. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Bye bye.
Good day. Bye bye.